Guys, how is everyone tonight? As you can see, I'm all in black. I'm in mourning. My family has gone away for the first week of Easter holidays. I hope everybody has had a good week and is ready for some more creepy stories. What we're going to be starting is our homegrown horrors section. I thought it might be fun to get some personal encounters of some scary stories or scary instances from the people, you guys. Who else to provide more legitimate and truly terrifying stories than your own personal encounters? So what I'm asking is, anybody who's got any scary stories or any scary personal encounters that they would be happy to share, I can certainly do that with you, either in a podcast type recording, or essentially if you're happy to jump on camera, we can do a filmed interview, something that would be really, really fun just to add to the channel. I know that the reason that I've wanted to do this homegrown horrors is because a lot of my loved ones from back home, especially people from my childhood, certainly have an abundance of scary stories and know all too well that I do have some of my own that I'd love to share with you guys tonight. So without further ado, we're going to kick off our first session of homegrown horrors, brought to you by yours truly. Well, if that laugh wasn't truly fucking terrifying, I don't know what is. I think we'll call that a night. I think you guys are all terrified and I've scared the pants off all of you with that alone. See ya. Oh my God, I'm totally just kidding. But let's be real for a second. So everybody's usually got creepy stories from their childhood, whether it be a strange neighbor or it be that haunted house. So I grew up in a country town in Victoria, which is in Australia. Now, my childhood was filled with creepy encounters because basically we just ran around town like a bunch of ferals, like you do in a country town in the 90s and early 2000s. And we just rode around on our bikes, hung out with our friends, and yeah, it just came home when the street lights were on. I mean, as a child, I was quite a nervous and anxious young girl. I was very easily scared of any scary movies. I was terrified of getting home even close to when the street lights were coming on and it wasn't daylight savings because I was so scared of the dark. I'm not really sure what it was specifically that I was scared about, but I just didn't like the dark ever. So that leads me into my very, very first encounter that I'd like to discuss or experience more so. So we were coming home from the movies one night. The brand new cinemas had been built in the town over from my hometown. And I was in the car with my mum and dad, and I think my brother was only like a toddler, so he was sound asleep and we were both in the back seat. Anyway, we usually used to go the back way home, but for some reason we had decided to take the highway. I guess it was just easier to get to for where the cinema was now located. It was a really exciting night. We'd gone to this brand new cinema. Our country town had this really dodgy old 2-screen cinema, which was like, oh my God, so povo. It was just ridiculous. Like, seriously, get some movie seats and fucking screens. But anyway, they opened up this 8-theatre cinema and it was like the absolute beast. So I think we went and saw something like I think it was 101 Dalmatians. The real one with the real Cruella, iconic. So we saw that and we were driving home along the highway. Anyway, it was obviously late at night because the movie, wrapped up maybe about 8 o'clock or so. And we're driving home and I don't know whether it was my overactive mind. I mean, my mum totally did get me tested for ADHD and ADD as a young child. I was quite hyperactive. But I looked out the back window and I could swear to God, and no one is going to ever believe me for this, but I swear to God, I saw that mudman running behind the car, like the mudman off Goosebumps. No word of a lie. Now, I don't know whether I was like half asleep and maybe just having a bit of a nightmare, or whether it was like sleep paralysis, or whether I don't know, I was just overactive mind and was like semi-freaked out from something that I saw in the movie that made me think of Goosebumps, which was completely off topic to 101 Dalmatians. However, I saw the Mudman from Goosebumps running behind the car, and I just have never, ever forgotten that since. It just, oh my God, that just really freaks me out. And that same stretch of road still gets me. Like, I don't like driving past her at night, even as like an adult going to those movies at night. I'm having to drive past that same stretch of road where I saw the Mudman from Goosebumps. It still scares the shit out of me to this day. And I'm 31 now. Like, seriously, no way. Never ever again. Scary encounter that I had, which was more recent, probably about 6 years ago. I'd moved back in with my mum for a little while she was unwell, and we lived in a 2-story house in a court. One night, my mum was actually in hospital and I was at home with my sisters and also my youngest son, and we heard a noise on the roof, and it was literally like the loudest footsteps ever. And so quite obviously we were like, this is not normal. What the hell is going on? Who the hell's on the roof? And someone was actually breaking in to one of the top story bedrooms. We actually walked into the bedroom as they were climbing through the window. Look, it probably could have been one of my sister's friends, but regardless, there was somebody all in black climbing through one of the bedroom windows upstairs, and it was absolutely terrifying. Obviously, as soon as we saw them, they totally ran away. However, like, I just know never again. Kids, this is why you don't make fun of people in your community. I grew up in a country town back in Victoria, and around about the time that these scary encounters happened, it just so happened that our local sort of mental health facility, it was like accommodation/hospital, had recently closed down. So essentially these patients who were still quite unwell were medicated and then just put out into the community, into low-income housing, with very, very little supports, might I add. It was not well facilitated, and I really do feel for these people now. The mental health services really did fail them. However, it certainly made for some interesting stories as children. So as children, we weren't really thinking about doing anything with any malice. It was more just a bit of entertainment for us to have a little bit of fun, get a little bit scared, get a little bit creeped out. Does anyone remember playing the game Nick Knocking? You know, that game where you would like all go in a group, usually at a party, and you'd like knock at someone's door and piss bolt away before they could even get to the door? You know that one? Nick Knocking? Yeah, well, we used to play that. But because I was such a terrified little child, where I always wanted to be involved and always wanted to be so brave, but I was just way too scared to do anything, like shit your pants scared. Like, literally could not be dealing with any of this shit. So what I would do is I would go along, but then I would wait either like a couple of houses down, because gotta have a head start, right? I cannot be too close to the action. Or I'd hide behind the fence and not actually go up to the door. So I was still involved, however, not close enough to get grabbed if anyone really wanted to grab me, right? I mean, they'd soon return me. I ate way too much, but whatever. So one day, my friend, who I love her so much, she's so good. We have so many good stories together from our childhood, but we were so bloody naughty. Our poor parents. So one day we decided that it would be a really good idea as a group to go and knock on a man's house who lived around the corner from her, who we nicknamed I'm Not Joking Man. Now, I'm Not Joking Man obviously had some mental health issues. Perhaps he was a veteran. Who bloody knows? We were just arsehole little kids looking for a bit of a rise and fun out of him. And he seemed to react. So obviously we kept going back for more. So we went to his house as a group, and everyone lined up nice and close to the door and knock, knock, knock. Of course, I waited well and truly back about a house and a half, but his fence did back onto quite a bit of land. So technically it was still his property, but I was about a house and a half away. Next minute, he'd snuck around the backyard, poked his head over the fence instead of going straight to the door to where the girls were, and yells out, "Go on, fuck off!" And I was like right down the bottom of where he screamed. So I was obviously like, holy fucking shit. I thought I was safe, and obviously I'm not. I ran across the road. I didn't even know where I was running. I had no idea where everyone else was gone because I was still at the door. And I just stood under a street light and just screamed. Like, he could clearly see me in this light. Like, there was just light, and I was just there screaming, like, terrified. And the girls were like, well, this is great. He's reacted. So we're like going to keep teasing him and everything, not thinking they would actually chase them. So they're poking fun, going, making noises and stuff. I don't know, that he used to sound like, because he had a funny voice. And anyway, the bloke scaled it over the fence, and he was quite a large fella. Don't ask me how he didn't break it. He just may as well have boomed through it. But anyway, he jumped over the fence, and he actually had something in his hand, and a glimmer just under the light actually caught the shine of the metal, and it was a tomahawk. I shit you fucking not. This bastard had a tomahawk in his hand. We were only about 11 or 12 years old, and he had a fucking tomahawk in his hand. Now that's not fucking around, right? He's gonna actually fucking get us. Like, it was terrifying. So he goes, I'm warning you, to the girls. But of course, my best girlfriend, being the ringleader she was always like, yeah, whatever. Come on, let's keep going. What else can we get out of him? And then he goes, I'm not joking, in this voice, because he had this really weird voice, like maybe he had split personality or something. I don't fucking know. And he jumps the fence with the tomahawk and chases us. It was absolutely terrifying. I think he only ran to across the road to the corner where I was standing underneath the streetlight. Obviously by then I'd cleared out and were hiding behind a fence. My best friend thought she was having a fucking heart attack behind the fence and couldn't move anymore. So that was traumatizing. Couldn't leave her there and actually pull her along to go or leave without her. Oh, anyway. So from that point forward, we never wanted to walk past his house. It was utterly terrifying. The funniest part to this story is, though, we went home and told my best friend's mum about it. And she was like, well, I want to teach you a lesson, girls, for really messing about with people that you shouldn't mess about with, because something could have happened. So she pretended that he'd followed us home and come and left a note in the letterbox saying he was going to get us. I cried so fucking much, and like literally I couldn't even cope that her mum had to tell me that it wasn't true, because I was just dying of fright. And I reckon there is such a thing to die from fright, because I was there. Oh my gosh. And from that point forward, we never wanted to walk past his house ever again. Except my friends, sometimes if we had a bit of a barney and we were walking back from the shops or something like that, they would like to yell out people's details to him. Like he would come and write down my phone number and come and get me or something like that, or whoever's details are being yelled out that he'd come and get. But that was the legend of I'm Not Joking Man. He symbolized pretty much the similarity to like a Jeepers Creepers den. It was nothing like it, but he had like a bungalow out the back and it was covered in vines, and I don't know, there was something about him that just made me feel like bodies down the chute sort of vibes. Oh, it was just, oh my God, his windows were smashed. The lawn, you know, stereotypical. Oh, terrifying. I'm not joking, man. Not a man to be messed with, I'm telling you now. Me, I've just changed locations, a bit of change of scenery. No, to be honest, I was so uncomfy at the table. I really need to work out a good space to start filming, something comfortable and something appropriate as well. So, oh, I'm basking on the couch and oh my gosh, I'm so much more comfortable. Okay, so where were we? So I do have some more scary encounters from my childhood. Like I said, a lot of really short type of stories. Some of them don't have a lot of detail, but they are scary nevertheless. So in the town across from my hometown, I remember my friend and I were playing in a tennis court, And this man like came up to us and he was like, hey, do you girls want some lollies? And we're all like, we've been taught that lollies mean like pedo and full rapist. So no, we probably don't want some lollies, mate. Probably no, we don't need any lollies. Anyway, this aggravated the man, who was like, well, I've got lollies and it's rude not to take them. And we were just like, well, no. So we hightailed it out of there. We had to like get back to the house, but to be able to get past the house, like back to the house, doing these scary encounters from my childhood, looking back, they really weren't scary. They've probably all got really reasonable explanations. Oh, guys, I need your scary stories. I think I've failed mine immensely. Do I continue? I think I should. Okay. So there was another story from when I was really, really little. We thought the lady up the road was a witch because she had like warts on her nose. Obviously, it was some sort of genetic growths, which was awful. Poor thing. Who believes in intuition? Who believes in gut feelings? Who believes that everything happens for a reason? Because I'm telling you, this next experience is so chilling and just so everything happens for a reason. And this is why you should trust your gut. Everything about this story is all of that and more. Okay, so my best friend from back home, we went out one night to our local pub, Dirty Ryan's, represent Traralgon for you guys that know and love Dirty Ryan's. We were walking home one night, and to get back to my house that we were staying at, we had to walk behind our old primary school and sort of like through an oval and the high school. Now, the alleyway was quite dark, and I mean, like, we were drunk, so it was dark, but neither of us really gave a shit because it was like, well, we're drunk, like, you have no fear when you're drunk. It's sort of just like, whatever. We're walking through this alleyway, and my best friend just grabbed me and just said, stop! And I was like, okay, like, what's going on with you? Like, because I was obviously drunk, like, teapots and teapots of blue Caracal in. And she's like, no, I don't think we should walk through there. And I was just like, I don't know why, but I just trusted her instinct and was like, okay, well, we won't walk through there. Usually where I was, you know, I would be like, let's go. This is ridiculous. Like, it's the shortest way home. So we went to the main road and ended up catching a taxi the rest of the way home, which was not far at all. However, just to avoid any incidents, we caught the taxi and be safe. The next day on the news, we actually found out that a girl was raped on the oval at the end of that alleyway at exactly the same time that we were walking home. Now, if that isn't fucking intuition and anything that, you know, should be giving you warning signs, I don't know what is. So someone was looking over us that night, and somebody gave my best friend that gut feeling not to go down that alleyway, and so we did not, and we were okay. Not so lucky for the poor girl who had that unfortunate event happen to her, though. Safe to say, we always caught taxis home no matter how far or near we were to our destination moving forward.